Number 9. Casa Cenote. Casa Cenote has the most marine life out of any of the cenotes that I dove, as you're basically swimming your way up through a mangrove. The water is a beautiful turquoise color with bright algae growing all around. It feels like you're diving in a forest. For me, the coolest part was this big crack that you can swim all the way through. It is really impressive. This is also a great dive for beginners or to use as a warm-up dive for your trip. And what's really great as well is that you can do what's called a discover dive with an instructor in this site. So you don't even need to be scuba certified to have your very first cenote experience. Number 8. Calavera. Calavera has a really cool entrance. You basically just huck yourself into a big hole and splash down into this chamber with a beautiful green haze with rays of light dancing all around you, which is a pretty spectacular way to start the dive. This is one of the best dives to see some really pronounced haloclines, which is that really beautiful hazy layers of separation that you get when saltwater and freshwater meet, but they don't actually mix together because they have different densities. Number 7. Dos Ojos. This site is great if you're traveling with snorkelers who want to experience the cenotes as well, as there's some really nice big areas for them to explore, but it is a diver's dream as well. This dive takes you back into the darkness through some really cool tunnels and amazing stalactite and stalagmite formations. This eventually brings you out to a chamber where you can ascend to the surface and see hundreds of bats flying around your head, which is not something you see while scuba diving every day. Number 6. Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal has a really dramatic structure with towering chambers and massive boulders, and as you make your way along the dive, you eventually reach a spot where you can ascend up towards an opening to the jungle, and you can see trees and debris mixed in with these incredible rock structures. It is so trippy. This dive does have a lot of up and down changes in depth, so if you struggle with your ears at all, then I do not recommend this site for you. Number 5. Car Wash. Car Wash takes the prize for me of being the most unique of all the cenotes. It is a dreamlike lagoon filled with underwater lily pads and bright green algae, and it is truly unlike any other place I've ever seen above and below the surface. Snorkelers can enjoy the lily pad area as well, and for the divers, you can continue down into the cave and see some really beautiful columns and even some Mayan artifacts as well. Number 4. Angelita. Angelita feels like you're diving in a forest scene from a horror movie. It's quite a deep dive, and once you've descended down about 80 feet, you reach what looks like an island of haunted trees surrounded by a river of fog. This fog-like material is hydrogen sulfide, and it's actually a poisonous gas that's created when the organic material, like leaves and trees, start to rot at depth. You can descend down through the cloud and explore a bit below the layer, and it is so trippy to watch your dive buddy suddenly reappear as they ascend from the fog. And to top it all off, on your way back up, there's a really cool heart-shaped cave that you can explore. Number 3. The Pit. This is probably the most famous and the most dived out of all the cenotes, and for a pretty good reason. It has the deepest penetrating rays of light out of any of the cenotes, which just completely takes your breath away. And as you get deeper to around 80 feet or so, you can explore a hydrogen sulfide layer that looks like you're descending straight into the Mayan underworld. Number 2. Chichen Ha. As a photographer or a videographer, this dive is pretty hard to beat. It is stunning both above and below the surface. It's important that you catch it at the right time in the morning, however, for the angle of the sun to reach the water, and it creates this magical effect of dancing light rays that is just unlike anything else you will ever see in your life. And finally, number 1, Dreamgate. Dreamgate has by far the most impressive formations. It feels like you're diving through a cathedral. It is simply incredible. There are areas where you look up and it's like 1,000 icicles above you, and there are huge pillars and spectacular tunnels and stalactites and stalagmites covering almost every inch of the inside of this cave. It is simply a work of art down there.